Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. Today is Friday, April 25th, and we have Memphis J to talk all things NFL draft and NBA playoffs. First, we have to talk through NFL, all the curveballs that were thrown last night, day one of the draft. And then in the NBA, be careful. Life comes at you fast. You might be down 30-3. And then stay tuned as Memphis J gives his final four picks for the NBA Finals. Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots.
This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. Welcome back, sinners. This is Season 2 of Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome in. It is a Friday. We have the NBA playoffs, and of course, it was day one of the draft. So we got to bring in my buddy Memphis J. We're going to start with the draft and then talk NBA playoffs. So the NFL draft, dude, there was more. I'll say this. T.I. and I talked about how many curveballs there were going to be, and the over-under was 4. And there was more than 4 curveballs, for sure. And so I had the under that I thought maybe 4, or because it was 4.5. So I thought there'd be only 4 curveballs. But there was a ton. So let's start with what was not a curveball. Would you have bet your life, your kid, your wife, like your house on Fernando Mendoza getting drafted number 1? Or was there like a slight chance that you're like, well, maybe there's a curveball?
I would have probably bet pretty close to the house on him being number 1. Yeah, and this is one of the first years in a while that you really could say, okay, we can almost know. I guess with sometimes you feel like you do, but with this one, I would have bet the house.
Yeah. Living in Indiana, I just knew all signs pointed to Vegas getting their guy, and they did. That was no big deal. Where the draft started for me, I think, was with Jeremiah Love, because I thought the Titans were going to get him because they were going to build something formidable in the run game. Now, they did get a huge piece of their offense in Carnell Tate, but I was in the group chat with Miles, and he was like, they could have gotten Carnell Tate, maybe, I don't know. They didn't have to get him there. They could have still got a good player, and they ended up trading up anyway and drafting again. We'll get into that, but it just seemed odd. Once Jeremiah Love went, Ohio State, that they did not win the national championship. However, if you look at the draft, every other player was Ohio State. So let's go into this. Carnell Tate, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs. That's your first 11 picks.
Just like skip a number or two, and then there's another one. So it was like every other thing.
Every other guy is from Ohio State. And it just seemed weird that Ohio State didn't win the national championship, but they had all these dudes go in the first round. I mean, it was just crazy.
They're really heavy in that top 10, like you said, but it is really dramatic when you go through them. Like I was going through it in real time with you, and it's like, dang,
yeah,
they're all within that top 10 or 12. It's like, whoa,
yeah, pretty crazy. When I saw that the first trade was going to be the Chiefs, knowing that they missed the playoffs and that they had another pick, I was like, what happens here? And I thought they were going to get either a playmaker or, I don't know, to get the DB from LSU. I am not sold on that. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but he would have been there later. And I just don't think when you trade up, obviously you you give up a lot. And it's like, wait a minute, to just get the DB from LSU, I just didn't understand that. I did understand that the Browns trading down. I definitely could understand that because they still ended up with a hell of a player in that they were the first team to pick an offensive lineman. And whenever a team has the first offensive lineman picked in the draft, that lineman is almost never a bust. Like he always pans out usually. So this dude, Spencer Fano from Utah, big dude. And then I feel like the Giants panicked because right after they picked an offensive tackle from University of Miami, right, literally with the next pick.
Right.
And
Francis,
Moaga. Yeah. And then the Dolphins got an offensive tackle, and you're like, okay, here we go. And then the Rams pick next, and you're thinking, okay, let's get this straight. So the Rams were a 2-point conversion away from practically going to the Super Bowl, because if they would have won that game in the regular season, they host the playoff game and probably win at home. Instead, they lost on the road to Seattle. So you figure, okay, they're gonna, get a playmaker, come back with Stafford, and get it done. And again, they have the 13th pick. That is not where you take a quarterback when you already have one. And they don't even get the best quarterback. Like, I don't know. Ty Simpson is just a really big head scratcher for me. I'm not saying that he's a trash quarterback. I'm not saying that, but at number 13, dude, like
it is a little wild.
If you're hockey, basketball, like, okay, you are a Memphis Grizzly fan. Right. Remember the years that the Warriors and Grizzlies battled when, what's his name, who's with Phoenix now, the enforcer?
Dylan Brooks.
Yes, Brooks. Okay. So when Dylan Brooks was with Memphis and they were going against Steph Curry and all that, those were some battles, and that team was decent. And if they even advanced against the Warriors, let's say, and they needed another big, right, a shot blocker, or like a JJJ, like someone like that, right? And all of a sudden you get a backup point guard.
Yeah, it would be silly.
It would, right? Like, it's just like, come on. It doesn't make any sense.
Would probably be available later in the draft.
Yeah, I just don't
Some
get
of
it.
the ones you've said they'll be there later, I'm like, maybe, somebody else could have really fallen in love with them and grabbed them, because like you said, once the straw breaks on offensive linemen and then everything,
and that's fair.
You're not as surprised if it's like, you got a punter? Okay, like maybe really needed a punter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like the 49ers drafted a kicker in the 3rd round, Jake Moody, and we know how that went. So
moving through it, you got the Ravens taking a guard.
Man, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. So the Browns at number 24 stood out to me. KC Concepcion, that dude from Texas A&M, dude, he is going to be a playmaker. He's going to be, I think, a good player. On my 49ers podcast, my buddy Johnny and I were hoping that he would be available to the 49ers, which let's talk about that real quick. Not being a homer, do you realize what we did? We traded twice out of the first round.
Looking through the first round,
you don't see us. Yeah. So we did something. I don't know. So we were supposed to draft 27, and we traded with Miami, and they got the running back from San Diego State. That's fine, or not the running back, the corner. Yeah. So, and that's fine. Okay. And then that gives us a 3rd round pick, which we didn't have. We only had 4th round picks after the 1st round pick. So I'm like, okay, then we're about to pick again, and at number 30, and I'm texting Miles, Omar Cooper at number 30, let's go, let's get him. And then it comes across the wire that we traded to the Jets, and we get some draft capital. I get it, that we're picking soon in the second round. Like we have the first pick. So later today at 7 p.m., whatever time the draft gets rolling again, we will have the first pick of this second round coming. And then we got another extra pick as well for the trade. However, what I'm upset about is, who did the Jets get? Omar Cooper, who had the catch of the year thrown by the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza, at Penn State. He made that catch. Just amazing player. And now I'm just frustrated because the Niners could have had him, and they must have their eye on another playmaker. I do think they go wide receiver, or Sam Roush, the tight end from Stanford, because George Kittle is getting long in the tooth, and he's a really good tight end. So we'll see what happens, but that's so frustrating. But we do also have the 58th overall pick, and we didn't have that before. So you can get a pretty good player at pick 58. You really can, because you can get a guard or a center. We can bolster our offensive line. We got Trent Williams to re-sign with us, so we're good there. We have a lot of good players on defense, but it's just so frustrating. Then you look at then you look at the Titans trade, and now they get T.I.'s guy from Auburn.
That's right. They got
Keldrick Falk
from Auburn.
Yeah, who in kindergarten told his kindergarten teacher he wanted to play in the NFL. Did you see that?
Oh, that's sweet. No, I didn't see that part. I just saw that they had traded and then looked up a little bit on seeing who it was.
Yeah. Then how about this? When's the last time you saw a college get not one but two running backs selected?
Yeah,
in the first round, dude.
I did see that. That was pretty impressive on our.
That is, dude.
Something you see every day, at least.
Yeah. So Jadarian Price from Notre Dame, and of course, we talked about Jeremiah Love. We knew Jeremiah Love was going top 5. I mean, if Ashton Genty went top 5 last year, then Jeremiah Love was absolutely going top 5. Hell, top 3 is what he went. So, I mean, that was a no-brainer. Here's what was also funny. So the Eagles and Cowboys traded with each other, which when you're in the same division, you just don't see that. And then the Cowboys got, again, we talked about Ohio State, got Caleb Downs, and the Eagles had a safety, either, was it Blankenship? Who was it that either retired or got traded? So the Eagles could have used a safety. Then they traded and they got the wide receiver that the Giants could have got. Again, in division. I'm like, what is the NFC East doing, making all these deals with each other and screwing each other? Like, I just don't understand. Why would you do that? Like, if the Arizona Cardinals call me, I'm taking that with a grain of salt. Like, I'm not looking to help you out. Like, you're in my division. You know what I mean? So it was just really weird. But yeah, a lot of curveballs with the trades, and then the Rams were the biggest head scratcher for me when they're in win now mode. And they go and get
almost everything they need. Like I don't know them well enough, but I almost feel like, get a couple of guys that were probably on injured list back, and you're not that far away. So just find the right piece to plug in where, look at where you're lacking on defense and fill that hole or something. But
yeah, as a Niner fan, I could not be more excited that the Rams had a chance to really and truly get a lot better, and they decided to we'll think about getting better in 2 years.
Right.
Oh, that's fine with me. I'm going to get good now with all these draft picks that we got, and hopefully, again, the first pick today, hopefully we don't trade it. I wanna freaking get someone. So we'll see how that goes. Here's something I want to ask you
Yeah,
about.
I'm interested to see how the second round will go. There's sometimes there's some um good people that get picked there. You know what I mean? There's only
Oh,
so
for
much you
sure.
can do when everybody's only got one pick, basically. So.
Right, and they have needs, and it's
Right.
like a lot of people took wide receivers, and it's like, okay, there might be some really good linebackers out there in the second and third round that normally would go in the first round, but it's just based on team needs
Right.
or
Right.
teams not having a pick or whatever. It's just, yeah, the second and third round. We'll see how that goes. But sticking with football, I want to ask you this:
Okay.
Are is the internet just going to keep releasing photos of Mike Vrabel and what's her
They're
face
gonna keep going back. They're gonna be like they
until
knew each other
they
in high
fire him?
school.
Yeah, right. But are they
Man,
just going to keep doing it to where now they
but
just
would the
have to
Patriots
fire
fire him?
him?
That
Well,
would yeah.
look,
I guess at a certain point you'd push
yeah,
it past the point where the NFL would have to step in. But the Patriots are like one of those organizations that it wouldn't surprise me if they just like closed the office door and were like, it is what it is, man. We'll talk about it after the season. We made our choice.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's just crazy to me. Like when is this gonna end? And then did you see that Vrabel officially is going into counseling right after the
Right.
draft?
Right. Yeah, he's gonna miss the third day of the draft or something, which is
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah.
pretty big on a level of if you gotta take off work to go do it. It must be important, especially at that level. No, I think it's been crazy how I think you kind of mentioned it. To me, it seems like everything has just kind of trickled out. You know, like it was the first like picture or two, and it was like, oh, is what's going on here? You know, and everybody was like, oh, well, what is that? They're not really. And then it was like, oh, there's more people here, and then it's like, wait, what are you trying to keep from insinuating, or what did you think we're insinuating? And then it's like, oh, wait, there's history, and then people start digging into it, and it's like, okay. I saw where she mentioned something about the Ryan Tannehill acquisition and that they weren't interested in Tom Brady, and that definitely, you'd need a pretty inside source to get a guarantee like that. Um,
Just
it.
wild how much more stuff is gonna come out in the next week, or like, is it done? Like,
I mean,
that's what I'm
okay, I'll say
curious.
this: as a married man, um, I don't want to. I don't want to completely ruin and tarnish his name until we know exactly what's going on and more about it. But at the same time, there's also a part where on just a level of they're adults, I really don't care. Other than I guess the fact that he's married and that's wrong against
And
his
she was too.
spouse,
Well, or she
and she
is
is
still.
too.
Yeah.
Right. It. I don't know exactly. I think the one thing I said on Wes's post on Facebook was just like, wow. Honestly, I don't care, but wow, like this is like you said, it keeps coming out little bits by little bits, and it's one of those where let's see where it ends up going. But man, I hate it. I
Yeah.
wonder how that's got to be for either of them, what they're going through. Just some like when you first like pull up your phone that first day and see a picture of that hitting the internet, and people are paying attention to you all of a sudden. It's like, oh crap.
See, here's what I wonder. Did he come clean about all these photos and like, hey, some other stuff might get released. I want to let you know up front. Like, is Mike Vrabel telling this to his wife that way he can get ahead of it, so that if when it comes out that it doesn't ruin his marriage because he was already forthright. He already came. Like, that's what
That's a
I'm
good
curious.
question.
Did he
Yeah.
did he
Yeah.
alrey come clean and say, look, I did some stuff
As a
that was
married guy, I
inappropriate?
would say that's probably the best way if we're giving out relationship advice on Sports Idiot
Exactly.
Nation. Go if you're,
That's what people come to for this
okay.
podcast.
If it was the police, I would say don't say shit, okay? But if it was your wife
But it's your
and you're busted,
wife.
then I would say, you know what?
Come clean.
You need to come clean. You need to do as much, or at least
Because when they
leave
find more
the
stuff,
doors
yeah.
open. That like, look, we'll talk about this and we'll get through this, because you don't want the public aspect of like, oh no, now TMZ has some other exclusive, and your wife's like, well,
Exactly.
wait a minute, you
Exactly.
told me this, but either way, it's a tough situation. One of those that the Patriots are one of the only, teams that it wouldn't surprise you if they were just like, we're just going to kind of wash our hands of this and move on. Well, other than the Clippers, they've done a good job this season of just being like, I don't know what, maybe which hand, what did what, but I guess, Leonard has time to plant more trees this off season, so he's off early.
Yeah. So, all right, let's shift to basketball now. And
speaking of, I like your shirt. I noticed that after we had started talking a few minutes here.
Yeah.
I was gonna go get mine, but it was locked up downstairs, so I was just.
That's all right. We don't have to be twinsies. We don't have to be. But yes, if you do not follow Hoops Idiot Nation, be sure to check out Hoops Idiot Nation. Part of all of the Idiot Nation, universe. Of course, the dawn of all these Titans, Idiot Nation, Mr. T.I. But yeah, so always wanting to support Hoops Idiot Nation. So
you can
let's
get that shirt on the same site. You can get all of the Sports Idiot stuff
on the link
in there, and we've got
on the printable link
on that one. So
yes,
check it out.
Yes. So before we get into the games, the blowouts from yesterday, and well, we definitely will talk CJ McCollum, because man, he went back to like Lehigh when he was at Lehigh and some of that. But I want to get into the matchups first real quick for today. So let's go Celtics and Sixers. And this, I did not expect the 76ers to have as much fight as they did. Now that the series is shifted to Philly, does Boston wake up, or do you have Philadelphia going up 2-1, which would be crazy to me?
That would be crazy. I think this is going to be one of those games where you really kind of rubber meets the road. You got to see if you can get it done, because if you can't get it done that game, then you're definitely going to be looking at problems down the road once you start flip-flopping back and forth if you're able to stay in that long. So, I don't know. I think it's hard for me to bet against the Celtics when you're talking about versus Philadelphia. Like you said, they're just kind of like a surprise, as well as they've done. But then again, that's also been kind of, for me, some other teams have been like that. Atlanta and who's it? The Trailblazers were actually, kind of putting up a fight, and that's been surprising. So I'm glad to see it not be complete blowouts, and hopefully we don't get any complete sweeps. I like seeing, good basketball. I start getting bored once people get up past 20. I'm like, it starts to hurt past 20. You're just like, I don't know if I'm gonna stay in here and keep fighting. But no, I think this is where the rubber meets the road for the Celtics. Do they get busy and really start fully clicking? I wonder, with Tatum coming back late in the season, that can be really good. He can be nice and well rested after having some time off, but it also matters how well, can you work together and get it done, because playoff basketball is just a different level of basketball in the NBA. I think almost any level of playoff basketball gets really, really serious. You see it on a lot of the teams that don't do it as often. They get in there and they're like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Like, these guys are not playing like we used to.
Yeah. So speaking of players not playing like they used to, I don't recall a defense confusing KD and KD struggling. I'll just be honest. Like, I'm not like a KD lover. I'm not a hater. I respect a lot, like Carmelo Anthony, like, except KD won a championship. But
I watched off and on this last Lakers and Rockets game closer because I wanted to see what's going on.
They threw junk defense at him, and he just couldn't in the second half. That is
right.
And he had 3 points, 5 turnovers in the second half, and the Lakers are up 2-0.
Right. That is.
I did not have that. I did not have that on my bingo card. I just did not.
Me either. I saw that at least being a little bit more even of a fight. I guess from what I saw, Marcus Smart was doing really good. I'm sure they had more than just him playing defense and kind of switching so that you could stay fresh. But,
well, Luke Kennard too.
Right.
There's been a Luke Kennard sighting.
Yeah.
Basically.
Marcus Smart was with Memphis for a short minute, so I there's a little bit of love for him
Sure.
that I didn't have before. I liked him when he was on Boston, but Boston was one of those teams that just has beat us a whole bunch, so I didn't like anybody over there.
Sure,
But,
sure.
No, as people move around, I did like Luke Kennard. He played with Memphis for a while.
He did?
It always sucks when you see somebody who has really high potential and they go to another team and it's just like, oh, okay, you used to knock down some of those shots, but now you're just knocking them down, okay, on the playoff level stage, okay.
Yeah.
But, you can't hate if your team trades people away. It is what it is. People
Right.
make decisions based upon what's going on.
So let me ask you this. Vegas always knows something. And the Rockets now are home. They're down 2-0, and Vegas has them 9.5, almost double-digit point favorites.
Dang.
I just feel like that's huge, but I also think Vegas always maybe knows something that we don't. To give you an example, the Celtics, who are on the road,
Sure,
are favored to win by 7.5 on the road.
right.
And here we have the home team who's down 2-0, backs against the wall. KD may drop 50 then. If the Rockets are gonna win by double digits, KD may have to score 50 because they don't have a point guard, and he's just gonna have to go over the double team and just shoot 60 times. But do you have not only the Rockets winning, but do you have them winning by at least 9.5 points?
Man, I would be surprised if the Rockets can get 9 points plus on the Lakers. The way these first two games have gone,
I know
the Lakers have been playing tough. It's surprising, of course, without Luka, and LeBron.
He's playing well. He's playing well, dude.
I can't hate on it. It's surprising. I know. As a 44-year-old guy, I couldn't afford it, but let me know what he's got. He's got something that's that. Please, LeBron, holler at me.
A chamber.
Send me a sample.
Cryonic.
I gotta play men's rec league or something.
A chamber. He sleeps in a. Yeah, he's like a vampire. Sleeps in a chamber.
No, it's amazing. If you had looked at all of the people, not only who got drafted with him, but if you were to tell me that these people are sitting at home in the playoffs, and the Lakers have a 2-0 head start on the Rockets
without two of their starting exciting whites.
Right.
That's really crazy. But
nice
hats off to, honestly, I will admit this. I don't have any love for Duke or for the Lakers, but JJ Redick has improved. Do you remember at this time last year what he was doing?
That's right.
Not subbing out. Not subbing out.
This year.
Yeah.
I'll give it up. Yeah, I kind of hated him when he played. And have not been a fan of him last year.
But you got to give him credit.
It pissed me off. I'll say I will not. I can't. All right. I find it hard to put more than a sentence on a post about the Lakers winning. And I'm sorry, Lakers fans out there. Y'all are just one of the most covered teams. Everybody else is, covering whether or not you sneezed. I don't care. But at the same time, it's hard to say anything good about him. But I will say, JJ Redick has not straight up pissed me off too bad this season.
So hey, that's positive.
He's doing a little better.
Yeah.
He's not made me just be fire that guy. Because
he's making subs. He's subbing. Last year at this time, for the whole second half, he did not sub. That is nuts. You can't do that.
Was the team this year in the NCAA, one of those underdog teams that went into that second game and just did not sub anybody again? It was like, you can't do that ever. these
Yeah.
5 guys just can't handle that. I think they put one person in at the end, but no. Yeah, as a coach, that's actually something even on a young level I really had to learn, and am still kind of struggling with how to keep the right people on the floor, but give everybody equal playing time, which I got to deal with at my level. But for them, making sure you're not leaving yourself exposed with people tired or people that are mismatched against other players. I tell people about basketball coaching. It's one of those things, like a lot of things that are like more complicated than you realize. You don't know you don't know until you know you don't know. And there's a lot, even after 3 or 4 seasons of this little kid ball I played. It's like, I don't know anything. I'll be the first to admit now that I'm a terrible coach at this level. So I'm not gonna hate too bad. He has not made me too mad. I'm surprised. I hope the Rockets will come back and even it up and at least keep it interesting. It will be
KD or LeBron advances.
Yeah, it really will be, and it's kind of a shame that we've got them in this first round. That you've got 2 of the greats. I watched a video. I don't remember who the creator is, or I would give them some credit, but they were talking about how KD is like the Machiavelli, is like the story of the prince from Machiavelli. Back in the day, of how like if you choose the warring party that's most likely to win, and you just keep moving back and forth like a mercenary, when things go right, everybody's doing good. When things go wrong, it's all your fault. And you're also the first to kind of give up when it's not going your way. So that kind of gave me a different perspective on his kind of journey through the league, where, not only whether he chasing a ring, running to Golden State when he did, but like he's kind of left almost everywhere at the first chance he could after things didn't go as originally expected that first season. He did make it all the way through Brooklyn's season after they had some injuries, and had a good season, but I feel bad for him, but also he's kind of embraced the villain role, so he's got enough money to wipe away the tears, so I'm not going to cry for him tonight,
Yeah, exactly.
Dollar
bills.
Also been all of this stuff with all the burner accounts and all that, like trashing your teammates. I can't support somebody that's that kind of a person, not even just a teammate or player. But if you're just gonna, it's one thing to trash other teams and to talk trash about
right, but your own guys.
People. But if you're like,
they're in the foxhole with you,
yada yada yada, at least bring it to them and not just
in house. In house.
Something. So, but no, I'm surprised about that. That's enough Lakers talk. Let's go to the Spurs.
Yeah. So here's what's crazy about that. The Spurs are favored, and Wemby is not expected to. Not expected to play.
This morning,
so
he could be available, but nobody said that yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Time, which I would suggest. I've never had probably anywhere near as bad a fall playing basketball as that, but I had one little time where I thought I had a concussion, and dude, that stuff may be still affecting me with migraines years later. So slow down, make sure you're well. The Spurs are a solid team. They've proved they can win without him. So I think,
I think they get it done.
I wouldn't be surprised, other than the fact that Trailblazers have proved to be, a little sharper than expected.
Formidable. Rip City. I'm definitely needing San Antonio to advance, because I really want to see them play against OKC, because I just think that that's the kryptonite, possibly, because I just don't think the Suns have much to offer OKC, really. But let's talk through the there was a couple blowouts, but the game that I really want to talk about is Atlanta. Like, a lot of people's picks to click are the Knicks, and they can't. The Knicks cannot get love, and here's what I was it on the Dan Patrick show, or
that was my non-homer team pick before the season started. I picked the Knicks, and I was
a lot of people picked them
about us winning the in-season tournament. I say we, like it's my team, but
right.
In this case, I really did want the bragging rights of hey, I'd love to see the Knicks at least make it deep in the playoffs, so I sound like I know something.
Exactly, and
the
they are
Hawks have
not.
been really surprising.
Well, they got
CJ
Kuminga.
McCollum has
That's
been
why.
a thorn. Since he was with New Orleans, he used to mess up some games the Grizzlies played against the Pelicans, and I'd be like, man, forget this guy. But he has definitely got the Knicks number. And
What a game!
man, the way they stole that one in New York at Madison Square Gardens, that was like I couldn't help but make a joke about them running off with the jewels because you could see everybody's heart.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And then it's embarrassing again. They still have a chance. So McCollum hits the shot, which, by the way, that is a lost art right there. I was like, is that DeMar DeRozan? Like, whoa, what a shot. And then the Knicks get a chance, and the guy who you want to have the ball makes a move towards the basket, and then
he must have got his line off. He got too underneath it and behind the basket, and then he tries to make a pass inside. And that just
went haywire. Yeah.
It was like, man,
dude, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather you put up a shot against the rim or the backboard or something.
I don't remember if they had another timeout, but after a little bit of it not going your way, you almost want to hold on, let's rebound, let's do this again. It fell apart on them, and there was only a short second. I feel like Brunson should have just did his thing. Once he got the ball, he was being covered fairly well, but he could have gotten into a mid-range shot, pulled a step back or something. At least give it a good shot. They didn't even get a shot at tying it or taking the lead.
No, just a joke.
Take the shot. You get fouled, you get one, you at least go to overtime in that case, right? Because it was 108 to 109. Come on, man, take the shot. Never be afraid of that moment. In that moment, I think definitely if I was the coach, I'd be like, yo, JB, why'd you do that? You threw it kind of into traffic and everything else. You got into an area where should have just took that shot, hope to get foul. Not everybody's SGA, but at least every other couple of times you'll get a foul call.
Well, and here's the thing, they were down a lot at one time and came all the way back, and just to do that is dude, I know it's at Atlanta, but I just don't think Atlanta is the caliber team.
It's you should it should I don't know. It's surprising me. I'm kind of disappointed in the Knicks, to be honest. They're not my favorite team. They're just out of the one. I kind of came close to calling the Spurs as another team I had faith in. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with Knicks.
Just really bad. You have
they
Brunson.
Did so much better last year, and I had hopes because they didn't make a whole lot of changes of throwing too many good players away coming back. They kind of just retooled and came back with the same thing. But it's just not. It's not mathing as much. This playoffs, I'm not seeing it get done, and it's really surprising me because, like you said, I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, the Knicks are taking care of it, and then it's just all of a sudden they just let it all fall apart. I still don't understand. I was saying that earlier, how teams can't get it done for 3 quarters and suddenly come back at the end of the third or the fourth and take a lead back and win. It's like, wow. Why did you do that for that first quarter? Sometimes you got to figure out the other team's game plan, but man.
But still, in the playoffs, you should have that dialed in. Right. And this is why I don't trust the Cleveland Cavaliers, because sure, you go up 2-0 when things are great at home, and then you get a 20-piece when you leave the country. And it's like, Cleveland, if we're going to trust you, you still have to play well on the road. Not every game is at home. That's not how the playoffs work.
Yeah.
You have to go on the road.
You never know with this. The Raptors definitely seemed like they were feeling themselves tonight. I only saw some of the fourth quarter, and I guess they were up. So, of course,
Scotty Barnes dropped 33. He went off. And 11 assists.
Yeah. They definitely were getting some shots that I don't think they usually make. So, we'll see how that one pans out into this game 4. No, also another one kind of surprising is this Nuggets Timberwolves, how that's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both good teams. That's one of those ones that it's kind of a toss-up. It's who's playing better, but it's been surprising to me that it seems like Rudy is getting the better of Jokic.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa, anytime you got those European on European matchups, they seem like they take it a little bit more personal and play a little bit harder. And I don't know. I'm not a big Gobert fan, but I got to give it up. He's been playing basketball.
Give him credit. Yeah. Defensively, energy, just he looks like he knows what he's doing out there. And a lot of times when you play against Joker, he makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. And to that point, he did get a triple-double in the first game. Like, it's like Joker is still doing some Joker things, but overall, Gobert is controlling that narrative, and they're up now 2-1, and they're the 6th seed. So I don't know what's going to happen when you don't have Aaron Gordon, though, as well. Last night, that's not going to bode well.
No, that's true. He's one of those guys that, I mean, if you watch him a lot,
they need him.
But he definitely is a glue guy. He's all over the place. He's hit a lot of big shots that have helped him stay in and win some games in the past. So you said something about people not looking like they don't know what they're doing. I think that's the Suns. They played with such fierceness in the play-in both games, and then they've showed up here, and it's just been like, oh yeah, no, well,
happy to be here. Happy to be here, sir. We'll catch you later.
And if you're a Suns fan, I just have to say, as a still kind of in recovery Dylan Brooks fan, get ready. This is how it goes. He's a good player. He's got some pluses. He's got some upside to him. I've wanted the best for him. I have wanted at times him to shoot more. I've wanted him to shoot less, but I've also wanted him to talk less the whole time. And after the last couple of
that ain't happening.
Grizzlies, that's the problem. Is he talks before he gets the stuff done. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, I like poking bears, and then you lose. Or, I wanted Steph, and yes, you got lucky on that one. Y'all beat the Rocket. I mean, you beat the Warriors. But he was talking trash before that game even got going about this is what I wanted. It's like
yeah.
Nobody wants to play extra basketball. You're not getting paid. I mean, anything better just to do an extra play-in game, probably.
Right.
Anyway, man, he's a lot of talk sometimes, and it used to really annoy me as a Memphis fan when he would do that and just straight fall apart on you during the game and like give up and sit out on something. Just, come on, DB. Like, you talk all that trash and then, honestly, I'm not Phoenix, so I don't know exactly what they're expecting out of him, but I would almost tell him, don't shoot unless we're telling you we really need you that game. You just go play defense and be a menace and do that and focus on it. But, it doesn't surprise me that the Thunder are up 2 on the Suns, though. I would have said that. I wouldn't surprise me if the Thunder sweep the Suns.
No, no one would
easy. Be. The Magic and the Pistons is another one that one's been kind of a shock.
Absolutely.
The Magic really surprised them there.
Your boy Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
Your boy.
Yeah, and I think he kind of struggled in that second game. I don't remember what his box score was. But I know they didn't get the win.
Right.
Lost by 15.
They in that game, it was, I remember seeing this. I was at a bar watching a couple nights ago, and it was 46-46 at halftime. Yep. I blinked my eyes, and life comes at you fast, and it was 30-3.
Yeah.
So it was 76-49. And I was like,
they
wait,
must have found
what?
In one of the locker rooms during halftime that was left from when the Lakers were there last time. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know
that
what
was
I mean?
wild, though. Life comes at you fast.
It really does. Like, they looked up, and it was just like, oh, yeah, man. That happened. Okay, all right, catch up. And the Orlando Magic are not a team that can come back from something like that very well. I don't watch them all the time or anything, but once Desmond Bane went there, I watched them a little bit more, and I've seen many a times where like they held their own through the first half, and then into the third quarter it just started to go south, and there was like no pulling it back in and making it work again. It was just kind of like, okay, all right, we'll retool and start tomorrow again. But you can't do that in the playoffs. Like you gotta go to halftime and get it together, find that extra gear.
Yeah. So, all right, I want to leave with this. I want to get your picks as it stands now. Friday, April 25th, as it stands now. Give me the NBA's Final Four. So, who meets in, let's go with the East first. Eastern Conference Championship will be.
I could see. I don't know if is it able to be. I want to say the Pistons have a good chance for sure. I still think the Celtics have a good chance if they get to clicking. I'd say probably the two of them would be my top picks for the East. I mean, well, unless New York comes in and shows me something, the way they're letting it go, I'm kind of. I hate to. I still. No, let me add New York in there because I still want the bragging rights. I want
Okay.
to that. But unless they show me something else, I haven't been super impressed by the Cavaliers. I think Harden's doing good and he's still in a role there, but he's also somebody that kind of crumbles and falls apart sometimes in the playoffs as well. So I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in them. I'd say the Knicks, and definitely Detroit if they can survive the Magic. And if the Knicks can survive the Hawks, I'd probably put them as my top two, I would hope.
Yeah.
In the West, I don't want to say the Thunder, but I mean, the Thunder are looking like the best team in the league. Like they just said, run it back at the park.
Yeah,
and
not who you want to win, but who do you think? Yeah.
I have to say, I don't want to say the Thunder, but I got to put the Thunder in there. And then other than that, man, really, I would like to see the Spurs, but I don't know if they're really ready yet. I don't want to say the Lakers because I hate them, but I'm gonna say the Spurs. I'm gonna say the Spurs and the Thunder as my two picks. Kind of who I'd like to see and who I think will be there. I think the Spurs have if they can get past the Trailblazers, they got a good. They could make it. They could get past the next one. This one is this is a toss up. Like I said, I don't think there will be a whole lot of complete sweeps this year. At least definitely not in the next levels. A lot of teams are fairly evenly matched. You're finally getting some kind of parity in the league where everybody's got good players and everybody can compete on a certain level, which is cool to see. Sucks to not be one of those teams for you and I, our home teams, to not be in the mix, but it's still going to be a fun playoffs to watch. I'll stay tuned to Hoops Idiot and Sports Idiot Nation. We will keep you as in the know as we can. It happens fast as
life comes at you fast.
Yeah, keeping up with basketball, it's tough. I can't imagine trying to write a baseball page either, trying to cover half the games. You'd be up all night long.
It's too crazy, yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be a fun playoffs. I hope we get somebody different than the Thunder winning it this year, but I wouldn't surprise me if they pull it off.
They're good enough to repeat.
I'm kind of rooting for the Pistons, even though I called the Knicks as my pick. I'm kind of rooting for the Pistons. They've been such a laughing stock, so to speak, on a level for so many years that, like, if they actually, it seems like it's one of those times where it's just like, it's our year. If you were a longtime Pistons fan, I hope y'all definitely don't lose to Magic in the first round. That would be a terrible exit. Nothing against the Magic, but just to have a season like this and then
be the one.
and
One
lose
seed,
to a
yeah.
play-in team. Because Magic have kind of surprised me. I thought they were gonna be a little bit better early on in the season. They were doing good, and like I said, I watched them a little bit because of Desmond Bain. I remember they didn't do good, but I watched the last Jazz game versus the Grizzlies, and that was tough to see some of my Jaren Jackson Jr. and all of them playing their final fan game for the final game of the season in Utah there. And we talked about Conch Jitty had his second triple double, so Indiana,
yep. Fort Wayne's own.
Yeah.
Like we said, man, life comes at you fast. Don't blink, because then you'll be outscored 30-3. So you just got to stay up with Sports Idiot Nation, Hoops Idiot Nation. We have Puck Idiot, of course. Turtles just turned 17,000 recently. Pretty crazy. So remember to follow us wherever you get your social media.
To the TI. I'm calling it now.
Yeah.
Turtles Idiot will pass Titans Idiot.
We've talked about that. I
think it will. I don't know how long it will take, but I looked at it. I thought I was still in the 20s, but he was like 30K, and I was like, oh yeah, well then it'll take a little bit longer.
It's got a little bit, but still,
once they
based
pick up
on
Steam, they usually kind of, as long as you keep good content coming and got people interested. And speaking of, all of this isn't possible without all of y'all watching and clicking and supporting. So we appreciate y'all interacting with us, and know that there are real people on the other sides of these idiot pages. It's not all the same person. It's not some crazy person that this is all they do. There's multiple people in the Idiot Nation that are running all these pages. So we appreciate y'all too.
Yep, from Racing Idiot Nation to Wrestling Idiot Nation, everybody. Yeah, so be sure to follow us wherever you get your social media. A reminder, new episodes of Sports Idiot Nation come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which means we will see you Monday.
Take it easy.
Thank you for watching this episode of Sports Idiot Nation. Remember, we are on all social media and on YouTube, and the podcast can be found on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Remember, new episodes are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And remember, because you watch Sports Idiot Nation,
you would be the smartest idiot in the whole world.